So today I'm going to talk about the field help external module here, and it is a module that allows you to add a toggleable field for data entry and for surveys. So it allows you to add a small chunk of text, informational text in your field label for your users. So let me go over to this project here. Let me just add a field. So now in the field designer, when we enable this module, there's an additional link up here for how to use the field help. And this explains basically what you have to do. So when you create your field label, you add an anchor tag or a button like this. It's going to take some HTML. And within that anchor tag or button, you're going to give it the attribute of data toggle. And optionally, you can specify a value like data toggle equals, in quotes, field name. This allows the attribute to have a value that so the toggle knows which chunk of text it's turning on or off. So you would add the data toggle attribute for your anchor, and then you would add a span or a div tag, which is a container element, and give it an attribute of data toggle target. And if you specified a value for data toggle, you would put that same value for the target. And then additionally, you can give it another attribute called data toggle hidden, which would hide the text, the container text, and that way by default, so then the user would click on the anchor, the hyperlink or the button, and then show the text that you were hiding. So that's probably a lot to take in. Luckily, in the field help, they give you this link to insert a template into the field label. So they kind of do all the framework for you. Then you get to change it however you want. So when you click on that, it adds the anchor tag here. So this would be your hyperlink. And then this would be the text that you want to show up. So if I move this over here, we have some examples here, and I'll just recreate this example here so we can see how it works. And you can see here that this classification T is in a hyperlink. So that's outside of the anchor tag. So it would be can't type today. And then within the anchor tag, I'm going to put help. And then this is where I'm going to, so in these quotes is where I'm going to add my my identifier for this toggle. And then down here in the target, I'm going to add the exact same for the target and the toggle source. And I have the text here that I can just copy and paste, so you don't have to watch me type everything. For the text here, and then I would give it the choices. So TX, so now we have the field label. This is the link and this is the text. So when we go to add records, and let me create a field help record here. You'll see here that now it just says classification T, and if I click on help, it shows the information that I had typed in. And then you can click it again and it'll go away. So these two examples are the same, but the next example here, this third example, has, I removed the data toggle hidden attribute. So when we look at this example here, this third example, you'll see that by default, when this record opens up, the help is already being displayed, and then you can toggle that off and back on. The fourth example here is just a little bit of styling. So if everything just looks like a wall of text like this, you kind of want to break it up for a little more, make it a little easier to read, like this. Maybe, de-emphasize something so it looks more like a little bit of help and the field label stands out a little more. You can go in and add more HTML to this. So on this example here, within the A tag, you can add inline styles for CSS. So you add style, and then, so this one changed the font size to 80%. And for the div here, we've changed the font size to 90% and made the font weight normal because everything in REDCap is bold by default. So the font weight is normal, and then we added a margin to space out some of this text. And now that I've changed the font weight to normal, I have to specifically say that I want these TX and TIS and TO, I want them to be bold, so I have to add strong back to it. So that's just a little bit of HTML to style, and that you can use HTML within the field label to add some styling.
Question, or should I wait till the end?
If you have a question, I can answer it right now.
Okay, yeah. Could you bring back up your HTML there?
Sure.
Yeah. So what's the difference between the data toggle and the data toggle? I think it was target.
Target.
Yeah.
So the toggle is the link that you're creating. That's the hyperlink here on the side. So this help hyperlink, that's what you're going to be clicking on.
Okay.
And the target is the information you want to be showing or hiding when you click on the toggle. A way to think of it is this is kind of the source, and then this is the target. So this toggle is calling this toggle target. And they have to be the same. So like I have T class 2 here and I have T class 2. If I had a target that was from a different field, like T class 1, and if I copy this field here, I can show you right now. So if I just copied this and I wasn't paying attention, now when I go to here, see how they both pop up and they both hide?
Okay.
It's because now they have the same toggle target and toggle value, because this one is T class 2 and this one here is T class 2 because I just copied it. So if you give it a value, you have to make sure that they're unique for each field label.
Okay, I think where I got lost is the T class 2. I haven't done HTML in a long time. Is that some kind of HTML reference, or is that a reference to something?
No, that's just something I put in. So if we go back to the example here and we just create a blank, really it's this value here. So it gives you this data toggle, and they're just empty quotes here.
Okay.
You would add a value that's meaningful to you. It's something that you can understand, like, that you can refer back to. So you set that value. It could be anything. It could just be like 1. It could be anything. The only thing that matters is that whatever value you put here is the same value you have to put here.
Okay.
It's like
where does it come from? Because I don't see T class 2 anywhere else in what you've shown.
No, that's just a name that I created.
Oh, just a random name?
Yeah, I'm giving this toggle attribute a name, and it's a name that I set.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So you can call it whatever you want. You just have to make sure that this, whatever you call it up here, because you're setting the value, and then you're calling the value here.
Okay.
You just have to make sure whatever you call it, they're both the same.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so they have to be the same, and then they have to be unique, because if you use that ID again or that value, it's gonna open up other ones that you don't want to open up. So then those are examples of links here. So these are all hyperlinks that allow you to toggle, but you can also add a button, which is the same thing. You would just have a button that you can click on and turn it on and off. And to do that, instead of an anchor tag, you would use a button. It would just be button tag. So if we went back to one of the examples that we create here, and you say how to use field help, and you click this, and then click the insert template, you would just change this from an A to button, and then the closing tag here you would change to button. And that would change that link to a button if you want to use buttons. And then depending on how creative you want to be, you can have images. So you can have the definitions here of the staging, but you can have an image that kind of visually shows you the staging. And this is just, once you create this div container here, this whole thing here is a container from that div to this closing div tag. Once you create that, anything that you put within that's valid for REDCap HTML, you can design whatever you want. So here I've got the same tumor grade, but then I've added a link for an image from Wikipedia. I've added an image, and then I'm setting the height and the width down here because I don't want it to be too big. So in this one, when we click on the help now, it shows you the tumor staging and an image of the tumor. And then additionally, if you don't want to inundate the user with all this information at once, you want to allow the user to kind of drill down and clarify information as they need it, you can actually create multiple toggles for the field help. So in this example here, I have this help link right here that opens up this text, and then I have the visual aid link that opens up the image. So if we go to the record here, so now I just open up the text, but if I'm a user and I read the text and that still doesn't really make any sense to me, there's another link hidden within the text. It's the visual aid, and I click on that, and now I get the image. And the way you do that is, and this is a little hard to see in this window here, so let me open up my text editor and show you down here. So if everybody could see this, this is the original div right here. And then I have all the text for the staging, and I've created a link for the visual aid within the first container. Now within that link, I've copied the same idea up here for this data toggle. So all I have to do is add another data toggle attribute and give it another unique name. And then below that, I've created another div, which is nested in the first one, and that's where I've given it the data toggle target with the same name. And then within that div, I've added the image. So I've just built, basically I've built another toggle section, toggle link and toggle target within one that already existed. So you can have it collapse and expand, you know, as far down as you want to go, depending on how creative you want to get. So it doesn't have to be just one level of information, if that makes sense. And you don't have to have text. You don't have to have this text at all, really. You could add, you know, you could just add the image however you want. It's just whatever you want to put in the HTML. And the important thing is that it builds it for you, so you don't have to be an expert in HTML. You would just click on this and insert the template and then go from there. So this is your anchor. This is where you're setting it, and this is where you're calling it. And then it's just where it says insert help text here. This is where you're going to add all the information that you want to display to your users.
Can you show where you set the color?
Say again?
Can you show where you set that color, that green color, that's the background, or is that part of your image?
That's REDCap. Whenever you click on a field that's active, it automatically sets the color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you can change background colors too. If you go into the, if you're using the rich text editor here, you can set text colors. So I would say, like if I wanted a background color here, green. So you could use the field help and the rich text editor to kind of do some of the HTML for you. So now if I click on this, now that help text has a background color of green.
Okay.
So what I would recommend is building, if you're going to get complicated and do something, you know, like this, where you have a lot of pieces, I would build these pieces first, the text and the image, and then make sure those work. And then I would use the field help. I would get that HTML that I've already built, then get the field help, and then I would put that HTML in here now that I know that it works. Because if you're trying to work in this little window, sometimes it gets a little hard to keep track of where everything is. So it's better to build everything piece by piece instead of trying to do it all at once.
So when you export that, the field label, does it show up all that HTML, or how does it show up?
Yeah, the field label would show up that way.
Oh.
Because you can add even without the without using the field help, you could have you could create your own you could have your own HTML in it like this, even without using the field help or the rich text editor, and it would give you so that would just be, regular HTML. And if you exported that out, this is what your field label would be in the CSV file. So there's kind of no way of getting around that.
Okay. Okay. So for those of us who like don't remember HTML syntax and colors and all that off the top of our head, can you recommend like an HTML editor that we could do it in, kind of like Word, and then dump it to HTML or something like that?
I haven't tried Word. You can use the rich text editor here and type in, if you wanted to, if you're just trying to, bold it or make simple changes, if you want to change the background color or change the font color, this kind of stuff. You can do simple things in the rich text editor here in REDCap. If you want bullet lists, you can add, you can do some of that formatting natively here in REDCap. It just depends on how creative you want to be. And when you use the rich text editor, if you click on this source code button here, you'll see the HTML that's being generated. So if there's something you want to change here, you can, if you set a value in the rich text editor, you can come in here and change that value. So like if you don't want this to be red, white, you can change it to black, that kind of thing.
Okay.
There's a website called HTML color codes that I use a lot when I'm picking colors for things. So that way, because I don't know these hex codes off the top of my head here. So this allows you to pick a color, whatever color you feel like, and then you can take this color code and set your text color that way.
Okay.
And there, if you want to add an image, you can just say HTML image tag. And this is a good resource for HTML, the W3 schools. This shows you what you could basically copy and paste this in, and then you just change where the location of your image is, the height and the width. It explains what each of the attributes are. So it just, as you go on, there's little resources here, and if there's other HTML tags on the side here. So if you want to know about the anchor tag, this is for the links. Those are good resources as well. I use them a lot. Even though I know a bit of HTML, I still forget things, and sometimes the formatting, I forget exactly how it needs to be done. So it's easier just to copy and paste. But you can do a lot within the rich text editor here with these. You can set formatting. So if you want text to be bigger, smaller, you can add a hyperlink here directly. So if we just wanted to add a link, you would just highlight the word you want to be the link, and then you add the URL. So, and that creates a link for you, so you don't have to know how to do the anchor tag. Then if you want to, center the text or justify it or align right, you can also add tables. So if you wanted, if you wanted to lay out the information in a different way, you can add a table, and you would just pick however many cells you want, rows and columns. And then this is for the text color, and then this is for the background color.
Okay. So for that one that's a table, if you, like say I have an Excel file that's already all set up, can I point to it, or do I have to put it in there?
No, this is an HTML table. So if we just create the cells, you could create the cells, and then you would have to manually copy and paste the content of each of the cells in here, but you wouldn't be able to copy the text directly or copy from Excel to here. Because if you look at the source code here, this is how a table is is done with HTML. Each one of these is the row, and then within the row, these are the columns. This is one column and the second column. So it's a different way. You might be able to export your Excel table as HTML, and if you can export it as HTML, you would probably be able to copy and paste it into here. Let me write that down because that would be something worth knowing.
Okay.
All right, so I wrote that down. I'll check on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Does anybody else have any questions or want me to run through anything else on the REDCap field help?
Okay. Then I think that we'll go ahead and close the session for today. And thank you all for logging in and watching our demonstration. And Don, thanks with your questions. And I look forward to seeing you all back next week. So thanks again.